Or are you spending more time glorifying your relationship, making it more than what it actually is, or more time living in the reality of what it actually is? I'm asking you this because it becomes a core reason so often why people get stuck in the toxic relationship cycle, why they're treated so poorly, but they keep finding reasons to stay, finding excuses for their partner, finding all this not really justifiable reasons to stick around as something that clearly is not serving you or your partner. It's serving neither of you. It's toxic. Toxicity is poisonous. It's destructive. There's nothing build worthy in that. If anything, it's more disintegration to be had. Now, you should be optimistic in your relationship, right? Positive. Heck, more of us need to do that more often instead of being pessimistic and always thinking of the negative or what may go wrong, right? But understand the difference in optimism versus glorifying, right? See, when you glorify something, it means to describe or represent that thing admirably, especially unjustifiably, meaning you can't give any actual credence and solid evidence or reasoning behind why you are thinking so amazingly about this thing. And what people often do is they maybe have things are amazing in the beginning of the relationship. Starts off rainbows and gumdrops. And they finally feel like I've made it. I found that person that's going to love me the way I need to be loved and have the most amazing relationship I want to have. I made the right call. I made the right investment. And as time goes on, and it's slowly that kind of falsity, that fantasy world you're living in starts to chip away. And a lot of your partner's maybe a little bit darker flaws or unhealthy habits come out, or just the patterns in the relationship come out. Maybe you're contributing to it as well. And it starts to slowly become less and less of that amazing, upgrade you thought you did for maybe your last relationship. See, a lot of times we're thinking of, am I getting better? Did I improve from my last situation? Or is this next relationship the same repeat cycle of the last one, to where when I look up, I'm not doing any better than I was with my ex? Or I see my ex on social media, they're doing great. And so my relationship has to do well. This has to work out. Or I work myself with the courage to leave my ex to get single so I can go be with this person or someone new. So it's got to work out. It's got to be great. So you start holding on to what was, right? The mirage that was the beginning of that relationship, the honeymoon phase, in lieu of this current reality you're actually in, right? You're holding on to what was and trying to blanket it over what actually is, which is not what you're glorifying it to be. And the only way that happens is where, yes, we want to think more optimistic and be positive in our relationship, but we also don't want to delude ourselves. So this happens whenever you're spending more time trying to harp and hold and squeeze every drop you can out of the positive moments, and you start overcompensating for the negative or not looking at it all together. You start making excuses for why, you understand that your partner just gets a little upset and, it's really stressed. And so they just blow up sometimes at you and all sorts of stuff, where you start to rationalize things that are very irrational or very unhealthy and very toxic, right? And then you stop even looking at some of the negatives. They go right by. Red flags that usually would catch your alert, your alarm. You're kind of aware they're there, but you're not paying attention to them so much to where whenever you sit back and your brain is kind of compiling all of this information to create what is your belief system about your relationship dynamic, it's only concluding that overall it's great. You just got these few little things to work out, when really there's some gaping hole artery issues in your fabric. So the best way you break this cycle so you can have a healthy relationship or have the potential to build it to be that is actualizing your relationship instead of glorifying it, right? Meaning, whatever you want to feel towards your relationship, whether it's good or it's bad, I want you to give it its tangible piece equivalent to tie and connect the dots. If you have these real positive feelings, tie it to the tangible experience you're getting, the outcome that represents that. And then break down how consistent and accurate are these tangible experiences to the overall impression that I have of my relationship. So I'll give you an example. Say your partner, has really toxic habits, but whenever times are good, they're great, right? But whenever things are bad, they're horrible. So in the good times, after maybe they do something that's unhealthy or toxic, hurt your feelings or whatever, they pop up and they're, all American partner again, right? They're doing great. They're being super positive, all loving, all the things. And those are the moments you usually anchor onto. I want you to break down the tangibles of, okay, hey, yeah, they do love me. See, they do X, Y, Z. And then I want you to build a trail from that. So if they do this because they love me, then how do they continue on normally? And then you have to be real with yourself on the elements of your experience to where the toxic moments happen, the negative moments, and then tie that in and make it make sense as to how you conclude the relationship's great and that they love you the way you need to be loved if this toxic experience is blended in there. And as you start to work in the moments that aren't so bright with the moments that are, and it starts to bring you more of a accurate clarity on where you actually are versus where you would like it to be in a relationship. Because here's the thing, whenever you're kind of glorifying and making this fantasy out of your relationship, it's really you trying to project what you would want it to be. You're trying to almost like manifest. You're just not doing it in a healthy way, in a way that's actually successful. Manifestation works best with vision, but with the appropriate applied actions to bring the vision to physical reality. Meaning, whatever's going on in here for the vision has to match the things happening out here to make this thing in here possible in a tangible world. So if there's any negatives that are in the equation that are impacting that vision really being what you want it to be, then now you have to go poke holes in the negative and figure out, okay, what needs to happen if there's anything in this experience that is not equating to what I want to believe this relationship is, right? So I don't have to feel negative about myself and feel like, oh, I dropped the ball and this didn't work so well and I actually picked the wrong person. And oh my gosh. So you start trying to overcompensate and make excuses instead of you having to live that lie. What needs to happen with the negative parts? What needs to be shifted, adjusted, cut out, changed, worked on, grown, whatever with my partner, so that whenever I think of these amazing things, it's as true as it looks in my head in reality physically. And I caution you, though, when you do this, the piece you have to make peace with is that whenever you get clear on what that needs to look like, the negative parts, taken care of and the positive parts built on top of, right? Whenever you get clear on what that looks like and saying, hey, here's the roles I feel I need to put into the equation for this and my partner on their end. If they are not willing or not able, you have to also be able to come to a conclusion that maybe they're not the person to get to the finish line with you. Maybe that vision that you see, as hard as you didn't want to feel this idea that, oh no, I got it wrong and invested in the wrong place again, you might have to embrace that this is not the right person. But it doesn't have to be a failure either. It can also be, hey, this person I invested into was the next best upgrade for me at the time. And I learned a lot that pushes me even further, but they weren't the one that's meant to get me to where I'm looking to truly go. So it's not a failure. It's just part of your growth journey. See, you can only feel like, oh, you're dropping the ball, not doing what you're supposed to do, and it's not the way it's supposed to be, and you fail to get in all this other stuff if you decide to see it that way and embrace it that way, right? But before we get to that side of it, let's just focus on the actual plan of what needs to be addressed and what needs to be celebrated for the relationship to actually be what you want to glorify it as. Truly lend yourself and dedicate yourself towards that mission, and you'll make sure that you don't wind up stuck in a toxic relationship cycle to where you feel trapped and you can't get out because you are glorifying something and convincing yourself of narratives and in a reality that's actually not happening, right? Versus seeing it for what it is and also recognizing what your options are in respect to what it is to make sure you're getting the healthiest results you can. Because the biggest thing that happens to folks whenever they're just glorifying the relationship instead of seeing it in actuality for what it is they start switching off the part of their brain that can be problem or solution focused towards the issues because they're not focusing on the issues at all, right? You don't want to harp on issues, but you can't also just not focus or give them attention that they need to make sure they're dealt with appropriately, right? And in a healthy manner. So whenever you are playing it fair for yourself, all cards on the table, and navigating the best way, and you lend yourself to it truly. And if your partner's in the ball game with you to do it truly as well, guarantee you it'll make your relationship dynamic much better, and it'll create more of the reality you want it to be versus what you're trying to fantasize it to be. If you and your partner need help actually doing that so you can live in the reality you want to live in, email or DM me the word coaching and we'll get to work, as long as you guys are truly ready to put the work in. If you're not ready for one-on-one coaching, don't have the time or the space for it, then email or DM me the word revival to join my Relationship Revival Hub community, where you can learn the same things I teach my clients one-on-one at your own pace on your own time through my live relationship renewal course in there that teaches couples how to really build the healthiest relationships, deal with conflict, the whole nine, love languages, toxic patterns that destroys relationships so you can avoid them, all of it, as well as my live weekly coaching and Q&A lessons to where I can answer your questions directly to provide you direct feedback and advice. And you can watch it back if you don't have the time to watch it live. And then all my exclusive content I make just for and solely for my members in the group to help you get exactly the results you want to get. Either way, do something to get in the race. Let's get it.